So the days of testing digital are over. Traditional media strategies and modeling are rapidly becoming the way of the dinosaur in the wake of radical changes in consumer behavior as they spend more time on the web. These trends are reshaping the fabric of marketing. Today, we are going to learn from leaders in the field how these changes are shaping their business and organizations, as well as some of the emerging trends in media and advertising. And so we have a great panel, and I'm going to bring them out right now. So first, Kai Bold, who's the head of marketing, global markets, DBX Financial Products, Deutsche Bank. So, Quentin George, Chief Innovation Officer, Media Brands. Mark Holden, Global Strategy Director, PhD Worldwide. Christoph Schuh, CEO, Marketing and Sales, Tomorrow Focus. And Lisa Schneider, VP Global Advertising Sales, Amazon. All right, so we're going to get right to it. Christoph, on the phone, you'd mentioned that you at Tomorrow Focus had worked on some research on some of the trends that are coming up in the next couple of years. I thought we would start with you going through a couple of slides and some of your findings.
Yes. So, good morning, everybody. Tomorrow Focus is in Germany the second biggest ad network, in the UK the fifth biggest with AdChuck. So we did some research about the digital advertising market today and what are the most important trends for the next 2 years are. And I think this is a good starting point for our discussion. So let's start with the advertising market today. So based on Forrester figures, we estimate for 2011 the total advertising market for classical media and internet of about $550 billion. And the digital advertising market has a market share of about 15%. So this is $75 billion net. And I think the interesting information is the structure of the 75 billion net advertising dollars. So if you have a closer look, you find out that 50 billion of the 75 billion are search spendings, and only 22 million of the 75 is display, and 3 billion is the rest. So this is the affiliate and some other channels. So you could ask why the display is so small, only 22 billion of the 75. And our analysis of today is, of the status quo is, after did some research with media planners and so on, that the internet channel is, as of today, more performance channel than a branding channel. And so if we have a closer look to the 22 billion display revenues, so you find out that only 10 billion of the 22 are branding. So that means that the internet as a media channel is, as of today, more by far performance channel than a branding channel. And the second information is, in our analysis, that the click is the most important currency. The click comes from the Google SEM perspective and went over to the display market. And I think it's time for change this situation. So we did a study with Comscore to find out how much people are click on ads. And this study was done by Comscore a few years ago in the US, and we did it again in Germany, and we found out that 3% of the internet population stay for 62% of all clicks. So they are heavy clickers with low net income and some other demographic information, who stands for the most of the click, and we think that for brand advertising, the click is not the right currency. And so we were asking the media planners if we want to push the internet channel for more brand campaigns, what do they expect and what do they get? And you see what is interesting, that the media planners ask for, let's say, 97% for brand sympathy, for awareness, for brand lift, and these kind of informations. And what they don't ask for, what they less ask for, is the click-through rate and some other informations, but these are the information they get from the ad networks. And we think it's time to change that, and we have a big project on that. We are working in Germany together with the biggest panel institute, GfK, and we are presenting figures about the brand lift and the sales lift on brand campaigns. And my last chart is the other research we did. We were asking what will be the future of the display, and of course what you expect is that real-time bidding is the most important trend, to have a look on that. Second is DSP, demand-side platforms. And then on the third place, data exchanges. So we think that data exchange, not only based on predictive and behavioral data, true data is, of course, for you an important information. True data will be an important trend for targeting for the future. So these are some, let's say, starting point information about what we find out, what the media planners ask for, and how the digital advertising, what size of and structure of advertising, of revenue it has.
Great, Christoph. That's actually talking about trends. One of this is DSPs and RTB, and Quentin, congratulations on your promotion, by the way. Chief Innovation Officer at Media Brands. I know that one of the innovations that you're working on right now is the expansion of your audience management platform. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that and how it relates to some of the trends that Christoph just brought up.
Well, first off, I have to commend you on the format, the game show format. It feels like the digital advertising version of Wetten Das. In any event, there's no doubt that there's a lot of innovation going on in the industry right now. As you've seen in some of the buzzwords, RTB, DSP, the big transformation for us is that we are starting to see these platforms emerge that allow you to buy audiences and audience attributes, as opposed to buying context specifically. We've created a version called Cadreon that we've now been running for the last 2 years, and we're very excited that this week we are announcing the deployment of our audience management platform in Germany. So big news for us there. But I think the reason why there is so much excitement in the marketplace is a number of things. The first is just the notion of making the online advertising industry more effective and efficient is really important for the entire ecosystem. We certainly, amongst other agencies, want to see publishers that can attract the audiences that are material to our clients' business performance get rewarded. We know it's difficult to attract those audiences, and we want to reward the publishers that are able to do that for us. The second thing is the notion of when you buy audiences as opposed to inventory, you go to a zero waste model, which means you only buy audiences that are likely to convert as opposed to spray and pray. And I think the last and most undervalued thing is the types of insights that can come out of these audience platforms. And so, this for us is a broader move, but at the end, it gives us the ability to make the ecosystem more effective and efficient. Publishers win because the right ones get rewarded correctly. Clients win because the business performance and business outcomes are improved. And finally, I think the important thing not to forget here is that consumers benefit, because if we can find a way to drive more relevant messaging to consumers that they're more likely to convert on, I think we create a better experience. And if we have a better internet experience, there's no doubt that more money will flow through it.
So, Kai, could you give us a reality check here? You're a marketer, so is what you're hearing right now what you're seeing? And tell me a little bit about what you're thinking.
Thanks, Patrick. I think we hear a lot about the future. We already also hear a lot about what we are already applying in our world. The main question is, what is a marketer looking for? A marketer is looking for the most efficient and effective way to reach a clearly defined target group. So that can be a retail target group, can be B2B, can be even a church, whatever. And obviously I don't care the channel. To get my message across most effectively is my objective. And if I look into our world, I can see two main trends that we are applying. One is that we have been moving, not saying that we're there yet, we have been moving beyond demographics. If you look at kind of how media schedules are being planned these days, is still in the print world, our reach is 1.2 million. Our distribution raised from 900 to 1.1. I mean, what do I care? Yeah. And the point to me is not that you reach 1 million people. TV, if you look at the discussions, in particular in the German TV space right now, 14 to 49 years or 20 to 59 years. I mean, I don't care if a 42-year-old man looked The Elm, which is a stupid German program. What I care is whether somebody has an interest in my product, whether somebody has been on my website, whether somebody has the intent to buy my product. What I'm looking for is preferences. And in the classical world, all you can get is quantitative targeting. So what I'm looking for is the like button. I look for qualitative targeting, and that's what we have been initiating, what we have been working on is what we call internally the digital profiling. So to identify the preferences, and the good thing is real time. Mm-hmm. That leads me to the second trend, which is that we are now in a position to build our own channels. So we don't depend entirely on media anymore. Obviously we still need them, so no doubt about that. But we can create our own channels with specific, maybe even on-demand offers to a specific target group. The media is mainly, they mainly exist to create an advertising environment for us. So they come with special supplements on a specific topic, saying, would you like to advertise here? What I call internally is mainly then the ad cemetery, because everybody is in there and nobody will recognize at the end whether Deutsche Bank was in there or not. So the first generation were the websites. Now we have the apps, we have retargeting, we can build communities, and the point for us is to learn more and more about the target group, to identify their likes, their dislikes, their preferences, and then target them directly with offers that are, and these are the two main points, relevant and convenient. So there's two sides of the same coin, as always in life. If you annoy them, you're dead. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of obviously opportunities, but obviously you can mess up pretty fast.
Lisa, with Amazon, I think you're hearing some of the things that Kai was saying sort of ring true. You're both a marketer and a publisher. So tell us a little bit about
some of the trends. Sure, I'd be happy to. So a few of the trends we've been seeing, I'm seeing a pattern, a consistent pattern on the panel. The first is that you made the point of the click is the most important currency, and we no longer see the click as the most important currency. One example is in fourth quarter in the US, which is sort of our Super Bowl, the holiday season, we ran a test across 31 campaigns that we ran, just to see how they performed and whether the click was more important or other metrics were more important. And what we found across the 31 campaigns is that 95% of sales conversion actually happened through view-through and not clicks. Only 5% were clicks. So it's a relevant metric, but it's definitely not the most important metric. The second thing we saw, and a trend we're seeing, is don't assume that your offline customers are the same as your online customers. And it's so important to get really good at getting and reaching the right target audience online. So for an example, we ran a diapers campaign where the advertiser came to us and said, our target, it's women 18 to 34 with young children. We want to run the campaign and target these women. So we started running the campaign, and the beauty of Amazon, it's our real-time data, it's first-party data, so we're able to optimize real-time. And what we found is that by optimizing and really looking at maybe there are other types of audiences who respond better to these campaigns, we saw an 82% lift in consideration and purchase intent. And more interestingly, we found that in the US, 35% of the audience that's purchasing diapers, they're men, they're not women. And this was sort of a watershed moment for this diaper manufacturer, that they realized over a third of the audience they weren't even thinking about are actually online. It's the dads that are buying diapers. Completely changed their whole targeting campaign. So again, don't assume that your offline customers are your online customers. And then the third point is we launched Audience Extension in the US, and that's our ability to target our customers across the web beyond Amazon. And we ran a campaign with the camera manufacturer. Again, we were optimizing real time, making sure we were targeting the right audience and not making assumptions about the customer, who the customer was. Again, we saw a 10x lift in sales conversion, 6x lift in brand awareness, and I'm pleased to announce that today we've rolled out Audience Extension in Germany too. So the trends we're seeing are click, not the most important currency, important metric, but not the most relevant. Don't assume that your offline customers are your online customers, and just the importance of refining your targeting and optimizing real time. And then that third point, constantly optimize to reach your right audience. Because most importantly, we need to make sure that we're delivering relevant advertising and messaging for our customers, because customers come first.
Great. Well, now we're going to go way into the future. Mark, your book came out today. It's 2016, Beyond the Horizon, available on Amazon.
Yep.
So tell us what things are going to look like 5 years out.
Yeah,
and if any of this stuff here is going to be relevant then.
Well, I think, just starting really where we are at the moment, I think, there are, I think it's about 50% of the developed world is connected up to social networks at the moment. It's about 1.2 billion people. And when you say that, 1.2 billion social networkers, right, we've become anaesthetised to that because we just get used to hearing these words banded around. If I reframe it and say 1.2 billion independent media owners available on the planet right now, then it starts to change how we view things. Because these people are communicating with each other, they link with each other, which media owners don't do. They communicate largely with impunity, they say what they want. And crucially, they're very, very influential. The famous Nielsen study of a few years ago, 78% of people trust their peers on social networks, only 18% trust advertising. It's a huge beast. And if we, just recently we did some work for a handset manufacturing market in the UK, and we looked at what percentage of sales is driven by earned media, the comment of these 1.2 billion people, versus paid for advertising. And the earned was 49%, whereas the paid was about 28%, and the remaining was other components. So in some categories, the earned effect is actually greater than paid, and I think that's something that's really, really worth taking note of. At the moment, we're only halfway through, we think, this sort of social media revolution. So far, people are connected up and starting to share. The next stage is when it gets really, really interesting, and that's when our worlds are shaped in real time based on our social graphs. You can already see this happening at the moment with the Facebook Open Graph and Facebook Connect. If you go to websites such as Airbnb or TripAdvisor.com, you go there and if you connect through Facebook, you can see where your friends are going on holiday. If you look at a place on holiday, which friends have been there, what they say. That is a really early glimpse of what the internet will be like in 5 years' time. So the internet will change based on who we are. And even the advertising can change based on who we are. Imagine advertising taking content from us, from our video feeds, to actually create advertising experiences. That's why we're obviously very interested in the privacy concerns as well. We think that's really important that we get that right over the next couple of years, particularly with the EU directive, that people don't opt out, that people can opt out, but that's not the default, so that people can have an example of the rich experience they're going to have of the world. Lots of other trends coming along, like the effect of NFC, not just on payments, but actually on checking in, and augmented reality, actually using your phones to look at the world around you. The internet will be smeared on the world around us. We'll just get used to looking through our phones. In this time, in 5 years' time, in this hall, quite a few people will be using their phones to peer through their phones as we're talking to get more information about what's going on. It will just become norm for how we engage. And finally, I think what's also really interesting is how this is going to revolutionise TV viewing, which is still probably the central sort of cultural fireplace that sits at the heart of society. TV, with connected TVs, there'll be 50% of TVs will be connected to the internet by 2016. The TV experience will be a social experience. We'll just get used to watching TV with our friends. We'll get used to social informing us what to watch. Expect Facebook to launch an EPG, electronic programming guide, and it to be incredibly successful. Because why would you not want to watch what your friends have watched and what they've seen? And finally, with TV, imagine the power of having a data overlay on top of the linear broadcast stream. What does that mean? If you're watching Gossip Girl, and I quite like that tie, if I can tap and instantly find out about that tie, I can press like and spread it across my network. And I can also, if I want, buy it there and then. So an e-commerce engine plugged in. The companies that crack this connected TV, this embedded layer, and the companies that crack the augmented reality layer will be potentially the Googles of the next 5 to 10 years. Or they will be Google, because Google probably will have acquired them by then.
So I have tons of questions here. One was, is Amazon looking at augmented reality and layers on television, Lisa?
Amazon's looking at a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's safe to say that we're taking a look at augmented reality. But to your point, something that we're seeing with the Kindle is I get a lot of feedback from Kindle lovers and also advertisers who are advertising on the Kindle that they love that experience, that wherever you go in your reading experience, similar to what you're saying, whether it's on your Kindle device, you can pick up where you left off on your phone or on your PC. We're taking a look at that, sort of the multi-screen experience and how to be able to follow the consumer wherever they are when they are reading that content with appropriate advertising.
And Quentin, just the sort of the technology about delivering all this at scale, are you looking at that as far as your technology?
Yeah, look, the big challenge here is we're trying to innovate the marketplaces and the ability to buy these new technologies at the same pace as the technologies are coming out. And as I spoke on the Uber Cloud panel yesterday, I think it's really important that we understand when we release these new technologies that it is released into an ecosystem that we can trade down on. Because, one of the limitations that we've had with digital is that 15 years on, we're still negotiating around standard formats and pricing mechanisms and, what the right mechanism is to value this. And we've had television that has had standard resolution pretty much for the last, however many years, standard timing, standard pricing, standard trade. So as we bring these new technologies to market, I think it's crucial that we understand how that inventory is provisioned and how it's put into a dynamic system so that we can buy against it. Because, as we've seen by evidence here, human beings are extraordinarily ill-prepared to determine which attributes drive business performance. Mm-hmm. And so let's use the technology to define how these new technologies ought to get used, and then use that data to tell us, how we ought to value that and trade.
So Kai, as a marketer, are you saying this is fantastic, I can't wait for this future? Or are you saying, well, good luck with that, keep working on it, we'll get to it?
No, I think digital is great. I mean, this without a doubt. By the way, the digital even made it into the parliament in Germany last Sunday with the Pirates, so we also can expect some support from their end. No, I think digital will help us. I mean, what do we want? We want to reach the client, and with digital we can learn as much as possible about the client. At one point, obviously, there's data protection, so the client always needs to have the right to subscribe or unsubscribe. But for instance, in our world, we're selling investment and trading products. So everybody thinks, wow, I mean, this is fully transparent, but I don't know where our client has its portfolio. So it sits somewhere, so I don't necessarily know what products the guy is trading. With obviously the digital things it enables us to learn what's in his watch list that he has on our site. What are the informations he'd like to have? Does he want to have the information on a mobile device? Mm-hmm. So there's kind of an unpaid relationship continuously with the target group, so that increases interaction, increases loyalty, and ultimately it should increase sales. So I'm really looking forward to these things. I don't think that in 5 years' time we will have a panel like this. I don't think that in 5 years' time we have a TV and a PC. It will be one big screen, and you touch where you ever want to go, and it's online all the time. So I think it will be great. So.
And I was going to say, Christoph, do you feel the same way? Are you seeing the same sort of trends, multi-screen?
Yeah. So what is interesting, in our business is we have on the one hand advertising business, and on the other hand in the portfolio we have e-commerce business. So we own the biggest matchmaking website and the biggest travel website in Germany. And we spent more than 40 million euros per year in advertising. And for us, it's not only, the customer journey is not only a buzzword. We track day by day and ad slot per ad slot what happens after we have a TV spot for our matchmaking website, how are the activities in the different channels. So how is Facebook useful as a revenue driver for the future? How is the customer journey of the user after registering on our matchmaking website? So I think the whole advertising complexity has changed in the last 5 years. So it's a lot of work to do as a marketer by your own. So you can't give all the data to the major media agency, but you need the media agency as a partner for the complex booking of TV, print, and radio, and online. And I think as the different devices come together, as more important the data again will be. And I think, for example, a player like Amazon is in a good position because Amazon is owning its own data. And other players have to solve the problem that they have data, let's say data of a session, but not the data behind it. And there's a lot of activity from the publisher perspective, how these session owner of data can combine these figures with real data. And I think that will be the future, that the different devices come together and how you combine the real data in that future scenario.
So I just thought maybe, Mark, you can give us your last thoughts on that before we have to close on the panel as far as 2016.
Well, that point in particular is something that's very top of mind for us, that getting the data together with the inventory in these audience management platforms so that we can have a more efficient but much more effective way of trading, not just display, but ideally everything. We get everything in there, and we start getting pre-rolls in there. When linear TV ultimately starts cutting the ad break and they start cutting to an IP feed, then you get that inventory in there. I think that's, for me, is the very exciting future. And then in that environment, it means the media agency can optimise not just the media, but potentially the creative as well, so that you'll start to see versioning technologies, changing the headlines and the assets. So the creative agencies will still be creating the core idea, but the media agency will be the front line, shaping and changing based on the performance of the ideas. I think the other point to make is that it was quite likely we'll see a split within the media agencies. Not necessarily a split in the agency itself, but you'll have one side that will be very much down the automation route of systems and software and trading, and even potentially futures exchange, which is something that people start to talk about now with unlimited amounts of inventory and sophisticated systems. And on the other side, you'll have what it resembles more the media agency currently is more of an account management function, but perhaps a more creative function that really is there, that ultimately will be on a journey to compete with the creative agencies in about 10 years from now.
Well, I was just wondering if there are any questions from the audience here. I'm taking a look at the tweet deck here, and right now, I don't see anything. Is there any questions? No? Well, I just want to say thank you to the panel. You guys were great. This is really interesting stuff. The fact that you've got data underlying everything, I think, is very important. I think just why I have a chance, to say that it's very important for us as an industry to really deal with this seriously and make sure that we're making the customer feel secure and maybe be transparent. So I'll just get off my soapbox and I'll just say thank you to the panel. Lisa Uschneider, thank you. And Christoph Schuh. We've got Mark Holden, Quentin George, and Kai Bald. And I'm Patrick Dolan. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everybody. That was a good panel.